So, hello again. We're still studying the UiPath Studio interface. And even though it's a very busy interface, it's something that we can walk through together and get a good grasp of, the commonly used features. Last video, we talked a little bit about the activities panel, which is on the left of the screen. I think I didn't mention that another way to get the activities you will need to execute your development, apart from dragging like this into the center console, is to search for it. Like, for example, if I wanted to use an Excel activity, I just search for Excel, and then there are a number of them here that I can choose from. But if I knew exactly the one I wanted, I might say something like use Excel file, and then you'd have just one, right? And then I drag that in. Okay, so we're not going to get into how they work at this point, but this is how you find the activities you will need. And you find them through the activities panel by either scrolling down, in which case there are many possibilities. As you can see, there are categories like alerts, data. So you see that there are several categories here: alerts, API, app integration. They're just a bunch of categories. UI automation, if I spread that, it has subcategories like application, and under application there are like a bunch of activities. So that's what makes it necessary to like search for what you want. Like if I wanted to extract table data, to minimize my option, this is what my options, this is what I have, Whereas if I had to scroll, it might take me a while to find it, So that's what you use the search bar for. I must also mention that in this central region, the development canvas, you can also hit on this plus button, and then you get a drop down that you can use to search for activities, in which case you just double click on them to drop them into the design canvas. Okay, so that's just to clarify that there are other functionalities and ways to get activities from the left activities panel, and you're going to use the activities you're going to need will depend on what you're trying to accomplish. Again, the objective at this stage is not to explain these activities to you, but rather to tell you how do you access them should you need them, right? So as we go along, you will learn how to use them to solve real-world problems. Having talked about the activities panel, you will notice that there are two other tabs here. The project tab we talked about in the last class, and I mentioned that this is just the project folder. This is just your view of the project folder, the items in the project folder. So I'm not going to talk about that much here. The one we haven't talked about at all is the snippets folder. Now these are commonly used activities in design, and a very good example of what I'm talking about is a delay. For example, I might want between activities, I might want you to wait like 10 seconds or 5 seconds before you take the next step when I'm designing an automation. So instead of me having to build that every time, this happens quite frequently in development. I have some of these snippets that have already been pre-built. Like for example, if I wanted a 5-second delay, I just drag this in here, and then it's already pre-configured for me. Okay, but if I were to do it myself, I could go to activities. Now I'm going back to the activities tab, and I could search for delay and drag this in. And to accomplish the same thing, all I have to do is type 000005, and that would be the same thing, right? But you may have noticed that it took me significantly longer to do that. So it's like some commonly used activities that, like, no matter what you are, you might need. No matter who you are, you might need to use some of these items. They are already in snippets, right? And so that's where you get them from. You can also add to that if you like, but these are some of the delay snippets, for example, right? So that's what this panel is used for, so that we don't get too much into details. So I'm going to go scoot across to the right side where I am right now, and I'm going to move my picture or my image towards my left and go to the right side. And there you can see that there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items here, 5 tabs. So this one is the properties tab. Let me see if I drag this over. Yeah, this is the properties tab. And what it's for is, like, if you look at this delay that I just dragged in using the snippets command, if I click on the actual item, go back to main. If I click on message box, for example, let me do that. You will see that there are a number of features that you can tweak, configure, as you like. So for example, the first one is like automatically close after. I can change this to say 3 seconds, right? You notice it was 0 before. So I've just adjusted some of the properties of what this does, right? And then if I wanted to give this a title, I can put a name there. What I did was I expanded this. Open an advanced editor will give you this window. Same way, if you click this plus, if you click on this expand button here, you'll get about the same thing, right? So I could say, what's the title of this message? I could add something, something like the name, maybe my message, whatever, So I could change, like here I could change what is the text that is written here. I could open this and say, I don't want hello world anymore. I want yippee. This is my first automation, which is kind of longer, right? I think you spell yippee with 2 E's. Let me put like, and then you could change properties, like if you make this private or not. You could do a number of things, right? What you do is not important as much as the fact that you have the ability to change the behavior of this activity. Now you can do the same thing, like I'm going to close this delay, going back to the activities panel. If I brought assign inside, assign is typically used to assign values to a variable, A variable is something that holds data, anything that holds any kind of data. So for example, I can create a variable named my name. To do that, you do Control and K at the same time. Control K, and then you now design your name, like my name. I'm going to call that variable my name, and I'll hit the enter button to store it, and then I'll say my name. Always put text variables within double quotes. My own name is Yinka. So I just created something. Now that I'm clicked on this box, you see that it also has some properties here, like if I wanted to change the name, then what's in this value, I could do that. If I wanted to change this variable, I could do that. So properties enables you to be able to change the properties, basically, of whatever activity that you are working with, okay? Having said that, I think this is a great time to stop this video and let you sink, and assimilate what we've talked about, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.